Is the Tiger King family a cult?
Joe Exotic for the people of America.
He was talking about dropping grenades.
You bring me down, it is my belief that you will stop breathing. That's how we take care of asses.
Before we get into this insane story of Joe Exotic, I just want to thank you guys for 230 subscribers. It means the world to me that 230 people would watch my videos as a nobody. And I also want to let you know that there's going to be spoilers as well. So who is the Tiger King? It's none other than the infamous Joe Exotic, the crazy guy with a mullet. His real name is Joseph Allen Maldonado Passage, but obviously that's way too boring for him. He claimed to be the most prolific breeder of tigers in the United States and one of the world's leading experts in the care of big cats. Joe started off owning a pet store with his brother, but after his brother died in 1997, Joe sold the store and founded the GW Zoo. Joe should have kept his pet store because founding the zoo was the door to something so disastrous that I'm sure they all regret. So about its leader, Joe, what makes him so special? Well, if you've watched Tiger King on Netflix, I don't need to do this intro. The docuseries looks at the outlandish character of Joe Exotic along with his cast of just peculiar individuals, including one who was a former drug lord and one whose arm got ripped off by one of the tigers just to go back to work 5 days later. But there's one thing that they all had in common: big cats, and that they all might possibly be part of a cult. So in order to understand Joe Exotic's cult-like leadership, we need to start with a very important question. What is a cult? According to Google, a cult is a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. There are 3 characteristics that make up a cult, and I want you to pay very close attention because we're going to see just where the Tiger King family might fit in. A charismatic leader is where a cult originates. These are people who are great manipulators because of their charm. Take, for example, David Dobrik. The guy seems like he can get along with everyone, and all his videos consist of him laughing and having a good time with friends. There are a lot of women that like him, but he doesn't seem to want to entertain any of them. With 18.3 million followers on YouTube, David is a charismatic leader. We'll see just how Joe Exotic leads with charisma, but with a very dark twist. Joining a cult gives you purpose and meaning. You go through rituals and practices that draw you in more and more until the way you see the world changes and you become someone completely different than your former self. In order to keep up with your new perspective on life, you adopt behaviors which usually require cutting off some connection with your friends and family. Now let's take it down a notch. Peer pressure. Members of a cult just do what they do, but new members mimic those behaviors because when you're joining a community, you have only 2 options. Either you conform or you get out. Think of any community that you're in. Are you in a Facebook group? Do you work at an office? Are you a subscriber of Visual Venture? If you're on Reddit, you probably know what TLDR means. If you're on Twitch, you're used to being called chat. Every community has its own language and you learn the language to fit in. But learning the language of the Tiger King probably wasn't the best idea for the people he worked with. Take MLMs or pyramid schemes, for example. Because pyramid schemes rely on recruitment of new members to bring in money, they often collapse when there are no longer recruits to hire, so most people, except the few at the top of the pyramid, lose their money. They take advantage of new employees by having them purchase the company's items, leaving them with less money than they started with. So what exactly does the Tiger King have in common with these characteristics of a cult? Joe is a fun guy to be around. When you meet him, you either love him or you hate him. But most people who meet him for the first time see him as a super friendly guy. I even saw some great reviews online about his zoo. In 2016, a man quoted, "Joe Exotic is a guy who truly cares. He has a phenomenal array of animals in great living conditions and an extremely friendly staff." Another person explained, "I have to give credit to the owner Joe Exotic, who carried himself as a very friendly person who cares about his visitors. Joe is a charismatic leader. He's also super persuasive. One of the craziest things I remember watching in the series was that Joe was in a marriage with 2 men, both of which were 2 straight men. Apparently, Joe just had a beautiful way with words that made people trust him wholeheartedly, even to sign their lives away. He made people have faith in him and his cause so much that his employees dedicated their lives to working there. They worked for $150 a week because they felt like they were making a huge impact by saving these animals and that they were living a life filled with purpose and meaning. What a great guy Joe is. Well, that's exactly what he wants you to believe. If you think he's a flat-out bad guy, he can't manipulate you. A master of manipulation would make you hang on to a thread of hope. Joe is such a fun guy to be around, but because people loved his personality, they were drawn in so quickly that when things turned sour, they would already be in too deep to leave. There was one incident where Joe literally decided to fire some of his employees purely to cause drama and make the documentary more interesting. But these are real people with real lives. He has such a persuasive personality that he convinced 2 straight men that they were gay and that they were in love with Joe to the point of marrying him. John Finley, Joe's ex-husband, explained, "All through school, I was dating girls. From the time of kindergarten till I graduated, I had a girlfriend every time." John confessed that Joe was controlling and manipulating him. Later, John was arrested and charged for assault and battery after attacking Joe in the parking lot. He couldn't handle the manipulation any longer. Joe's other ex-husband, Travis Maldonado, ended up killing himself, but it was an accident. Here's a speculation. People believe that Travis was with Joe to feed his drug addiction. The only way Travis could get access to drugs was through Joe, which is most certainly an obvious form of manipulation. But what do you think? Out of everything that Joe has done, I think the most horrible act was the most subtle one. The Tiger King's life purpose was to save big cats. He portrayed that to his friends, family, and all the employees at his zoo. It came to the point that when a tiger bit one of his employees' arms off, she came back to work just 5 days after with an entirely missing arm. But what's heartbreaking is that even though his followers dedicated their lives to Joe's cause, was it all a lie? Eric Cowie, the head zookeeper, claimed that Joe killed more than 100 tigers. He even put down 8 tigers in one day, giving excuses that they were sick or too old. The Tiger King may have manipulated these people in his park, but it didn't stop there. Even though you and I understand the darker side of Joe's personality, his fan page has over 100,000 followers, many of which support him and his innocence. He even has an official website where you can support him by buying merch. I don't know the numbers, but I bet they sell at least 100 pieces of clothing each and every day. It's a scary world we live in where it's hard to tell who's right and who's wrong anymore because most of the things we see on TV and on the internet are biased based on people's ulterior motives. I want you to know that this video isn't just to entertain you. It's to bring to light the psychology of cults, so before you decide to join a community, you can ask yourself, is this a cult? Just a few days ago, Eric Cowie, the head zookeeper at the GW Zoo, passed away at the age of 53. My condolences go out to his friends and family. Eric lived his life to the fullest, doing the things that he loved the most. If you didn't take anything from this video, just take this. Never compromise your principles to either fit in or be like others, because it takes nothing to join a crowd, but it takes everything to stand alone. Write in the comments below, do you think the Tiger King family is a cult? Listen up, this is to my wonderful 230 subscribers. Thank you for not falling asleep on me while watching my videos. Give me a thumbs up, but don't subscribe unless you like my content. And hit the bell icon to stay updated with new videos only if you want to. And if you watch these videos right here, it would make me happy. Now go make the world a better place. Visual Venture.